This is how you come down. It's a new day. Well, no, it's not a new day. It's almost the end of a new day. For me, almost the end. Couldn't make it here yesterday. Had a friend of mine came over with an excavator and absolutely slaughtered my yard. Oh my god. We took out a whole bunch of snaggled up old rotten trees and bushes and build up underneath the timber and cleared it out. Holy cow, what a mess. But wow, did I ever open it up. So that was yesterday's day, very busy. And then we decided to this morning to get up early and bomb out to the woods and go retrieve. I think I retrieved 16 trail cameras. Oh. And out of that, I managed to. I caught a lot of crazy, awesome, cool stuff, including a crazy ass elk fight. I think I'll share it right here, right now. So that was pretty cool, right? A little bit of a short clips, but you sure can get some cool screenshots, some photographs off of that video. Very cool. And then on the way home, we noticed driving along this river, we noticed there was a few fish jumping in the river. So we drove out to this bridge that I've normally thrown the camera off, and of course I don't have anything with me again, but I had a spool of line in my truck, and I tied that on the GoPro, and I dropped that into the water. And you got to see this. And when I dropped in the water, actually there's so many fish jammed in that river. I put it all the way to the bottom, and I was hoping I would luck out and have the camera hit the bottom with the lens facing up. Sure enough, nailed it for that cool angle. So I'll show that to you guys right now too. What the hell, right? And then one more cool mention. We hiked up this river. Didn't see nothing. I'm bugling, calling for elk. Didn't hear nothing. Everything's just dead. And then I looked way up the river and I noticed an elk standing on the edge of the bank. And then another one. I'm like, oh, here we go. Hiked back to their side of the river, grabbed my camera, my zoom in lens, and put it on the tripod and sat there and waited. And sure enough, a whole bunch of elk came out. And the largest bull in that chunk of river, who I had on a trail camera a bunch of times, he came out and they all crossed the river in front of my camera. Very cool. So what the hell? I'll share that right now too, for all those who might think it might be kind of cool. I think that's the lead cow in the first head. Hear the cow bell?
That looks like a bull.
Yeah, that's a bull. The branch in front of the lens, you know?
Well, you'll get him real good when he crosses.
Yeah. Did you count them? How many are there?
Yeah, 10. Might be 11.
Fuck, gonna be wicked to videotape a fight like this.
Sure.
So anyway, there you go. There's a few cool things that I got to see today and capture on cameras. Now I'm going to carry on from where I left off the last day. I started to read an email and my buddy showed up, I believe, right? So here we go. This email is titled, I effed around and found out. Hey Steve, Reno. My name is Joseph Mostovich. I have been a geologist for about 18 years now. Currently, I am working for a refinery that requires most of my time on a four-wheeler. It didn't pay well to start, but on my second month, effing around the woods, I found a lanthanide deposit, and the company bought the land for pennies. I got a huge bonus, which paid for my house, and my wife's absurd diamond ring, which she keeps in a safety deposit box at the bank. You're lucky to have a sane woman, Steve. Why is it the hotter they are, the crazier they are? Anyway, I was back at it searching South America for my next big find. And spoiler alert, I didn't find shit for the next 16 years. Wow. Steve, nobody believed me. I quit my job, sold my house, my bee wife left me, and now I live downtown. They had me mentally evaluated three times. And like you said, I'm going to wake up and say to myself, hey, why don't I fly back to the US and tell my boss how I unloaded all my ammo into a 10-foot tall, skinny, black man with no face? A 10-foot tall, skinny, black man with no face. And this is my last shot for someone, anyone, to believe me. If nobody here has seen anything like that, I give up. Steve, I remember you asked for better description, so here it goes. I told myself it was Sasquatch for a long time, maybe. Solid black with undefined edges. I estimate 10 foot tall plus minus a foot. Like dry ice, it had a smoke coming off. It was about 45 degrees Fahrenheit, almost like sweat. It turned its head to look at me, and it had no face. I already had my Taurus Raging Hunter 460 In hand and without hesitation, I sent one straight to his face and continued until I was out. There was a giant hole in his face, two in his chest and stomach, and this thing did not go down. I jumped in that four-wheeler like a scared kitten. Steve, you say you don't have fear. This bastard was going to take my soul. It was almost like a hologram. I'll never go back to Chile for any amount of money. F those caves. F John McCaskill. That blank laughed in my face. My attempts using black magic to find another big score maybe was part, but I never believed those stupid words. Steve, I effed around, and I found out more than I wanted to. Now I just sit and wait for death's sweet release. Wow, that's quite the email, my man. So I'm gathering you were out looking around in Chile for your next big mineral score and ran into something over 10 feet tall, which wasn't a human, scared the crap out of you, so you shot the shit out of it, and nothing happened. And you told the people back at home base, and they had you evaluated. That's what I'm getting from that email. Wow. Death's sweet release. Come on, man, don't give up that easy. Life is a riot. Right? You fall down, you get up, and you go in another direction. And you enjoy the shit out of it. That's what you do. Don't let a bad moment take you down. I don't know if anybody from Chile is here with us. But if you are and you've heard of something like this in Chile, email us, all right? Email us. Now, this seems like a big, long email. Let's go in. This is titled Sabe Superpowers and the Law of One. Hi, Steve. I'm relatively new to your channel and found you just a few weeks ago. I'm writing not only to share some of my weird stories, but mainly to help some of your emailers who might still be suffering and asking why. Why them? The recent email from Ian was great. I cannot commend him enough for sharing his knowledge of the occult. What he said is 100% true. However, the occultists leave some things out from what I can see. Yes, the church and powers that be, like monarchies among many, may have kept knowledge hidden, along with the true meaning of Jesus' message. However, I think the truth is a bit more simple. The people in power saw it as a means to control the masses and used it to do so. With most powerful people of the time being born into it, I doubt they had any real knowledge to hide. As a matter of fact, they persecuted people like Socrates for a very long time. Knowing that, I think what's more relevant is something I saw recently and have known since I was a child. Type out, no biggie. This comes from a retired CIA operative now teaching online. You probably saw the same episode on the Sean Ryan show. In the interview, he tells about one of the first things the CIA teaches new field operatives. Quote, never attribute something to conspiracy, which is much easier explained by stupidity, end quote. The fact is, the truth has been available to any seeker forever. The phrase in the Bible, quote, ask and you shall receive, end quote, is available to all mankind. The only requirements to gain this knowing are a clear intent and a pure heart. Don't confuse pure with good here. The problem is, just as Ian stated, that people who have been initiated have been monopolized by secret societies. Part of the reason I know this is because I was invited to join one when in my mid-20s. I don't know which one, because needless to say, I didn't join. Something I could share at a later date. Before I go into the thick of it all, I will share about myself. My name is Chad Tell, and I am not a scholar, nor would I ever claim to be, but I have taken a deep plunge into myself, spiritualism, and the meaning of it all. If I ever say I have all the answers, shoot me in the face, because with all the knowledge I've gained, the most glaring of all is, I really don't know shit. However, I believe I'm here to help and happy to share the knowledge I have. Here are just a few of the studies I have undertaken in the last 10 years, some more than others. The Law of One, A Course in Miracles, Remote Viewing, Paramahansa, Yogananda's, Yoga Yogananda's Self-Realization Fellowship, the Rosicrucians, Sacred Geometry, Rudolf Steiner, the Kabbalion, Alan Watts, Neville Goddard. A few of these people were teaching this stuff over 100 years ago, so to say it was hidden just isn't true. However, for probably more than 1,000 years, the mystery schools have had a practice of, quote, waiting for the seeker, end quote, rather than trying to disseminate the teachings to the entire population. The idea behind this being, when a person is ready, they will seek the knowledge and more likely to use in service to others rather than service to self. I understand this concept because, as you well know, the ridicule and non-belief for most people on these topics shows it clearly. Most people aren't ready. Agreed. One thing I could surely tell folks with these experiences is it's a sure sign that you are ready. The question is, do you want to do the work involved to progress spiritually? No problem if you don't. There are no wrong answers here. I came from more of a UFO background and have had many weird things happen in that regard, but I've also had a few potential Sabe incidents I pretty much blew off because I didn't see anything. I'll get to them later because that's not the main purpose of this email. And frankly, there are much better stories than mine, lol. The Law of One. The Law of One began as a project to attempt contact with ET intelligence through deep meditation in the 1960s. And after years of research and testing mediums, they found success in the early 70s. In 1970, they founded the partnership called LL Research and are still going to this day. By 1980, they made contact with an ET race known as Ra, R-A, Ra, and meticulously documented the contact, producing the Ra material. The Ra material has a lot in common with Buddhism, Hinduism, and Christianity, with a few caveats. The main concept being that we're all individualized aspects of the one infinite creator. Call it God or the universe, they're all the same. And this includes everything from the smallest subparticle to an atom up to humans, ETs, and the Sabe, the Earth and all plants, galaxies, and space in between as well. In Buddhism, they say that when you truly see all things as God, you have attained enlightenment. Enlightenment. Sorry, you guys. It's been a long day. I'm paraphrasing, so don't quote me on that, lol. One of the stories of Buddha I remember most is one day after the Buddha had finished one of his teachings and performed some miracles, he was approached by a small boy. The boy says to him, "Sir, you can do so many miracles. You're just like God." Buddha leans over him and says, "My son, I am God, and one day you will realize so are you." Again, paraphrasing. For those still suffering, the best thing to tell folks that are struggling and want answers is you will find them within yourself. I know this will sound corny and weird to some, but if you're still suffering, what do you have to lose? Yes, look inside. Yes, looking inside will require quietening your mind, releasing any fear and any sort of meditation that fits you. There are no rules to follow. Find what works for you. It's the desire or seeking that matters. Call it the part of God within you, or higher self, or a soul, it don't matter. You will eventually get an answer if you are asking the most relevant questions. The questions will be different and unique to each individual, but if you're asking why this happened to you, it's irrelevant. The why of any situation that happens to a person is always the same according to the law of one. The answer to the why me is always, this happened to be a catalyst to learn something. This makes it an irrelevant question. It's up to the individual to learn something positive or negative. This is your free will. The higher self does not respond to the ego, our conditioned responses, playing a victim. For me, a much better way to approach answers to suffering is asking what lessons should I be learning, or what can I think or do that is more loving in this situation. Quite often I have found that it is forgiveness that helps relieve most suffering. Forgiveness of yourself, most often, but also forgiveness of anything or anyone that has that has caused the suffering as well. Forgiveness of the offender is, for you, not for them. And you'll find once you have truly forgiven the offender, the memory of the incident don't cause any suffering anymore, mainly because harboring negative feelings or judgments always causes more suffering. Be aware of any negative thoughts that come up in the process and discard them. Anger and judgments will only stir the ego, and you won't hear the whisper of your higher self because the ego is too loud. Remember that any true answers that will come from your higher self will be loving to all parties involved. Yes, including the offender. I know it's hard because of our conditioning, our ego, but try to keep in mind that any and all offenders are going through their own learning process as well. Typically, when a true answer is realized, the relief is instant. Like a switch in your head suddenly goes from pain to pleasure. If the law of one material is correct, then the negative events involving the Sabe are for reasons you will see shortly. As long as you keep positive and don't let negative thoughts disrupt the process, you will get the answers that give you the relief you're looking for. One explanation of Sabe's superpowers. Yes, we as humans also share the same powers as the Sabe, but it's not that we have forgotten them. They are simply not active yet. They are stored in what science has determined as our junk DNA. The fact is, the Sabe are from an older race than us, and we, for the most part, haven't done the work to activate this DNA. I'm sure you will recognize a few people that have. Jesus, Buddha, and many other sagas and shamans fit in this category as well. Remote viewers and psychic mediums, the real ones, also. There are centuries-old stories of Tibetan monks attaining the rainbow body and doing the same things the Sabe does, like levitate, become invisible, and literally fly around on thin air, as well as pushing their hands and feet into solid stone as if it were mud. These imprints are still at places people visit today. And here's what the Law of One had to say about Bigfoot. As you can see, they didn't ask about Bigfoot specifically, but asked about second density beings. And Bigfoot came up as one race using second density forms here on Earth. Questioner. Is there any particular race of people on our planet now who were incarnated here from second density? There are no second density conscious complexes here on your sphere at this time. However, there are two races which use the second density form. One is the entities from the planetary sphere you call Maldek. These entities are working their understanding complexes through a series of what you would call karmic restitutions. They dwell within your deeper underground passageways and are known to you as Bigfoot. The other race that is being offered a dwelling in this density by guardians who wish to give the mind/body/spirit complexes of those who are of this density at this time appropriately engineered physical vehicles, as you would call these chemical complexes, in the event that there is what you call nuclear war. Question. I didn't understand what these vehicles or beings were that were appropriate in the event of nuclear war. Ra answers, I am Ra. These are beings which exist as instinctual second density beings, which are being held in reserve to form what you would call a gene pool in case these body complexes are needed. These body complexes are greatly able to withstand the rigors of radiation, which the body complexes you now inhabit could not do. Question. Where are these body complexes located? Answer. I am Ra. These body complexes of the second race dwell in uninhabited deep forest. There are many in various places over the surface of your planet. Question. Are they Bigfoot-type creatures? Answer. I am Ra. This is correct, although we would not call these Bigfoot, as they are scarce and are very able to escape detection. The first race is less able to be aware of the proximity of the other, mind/body/spirit complexes. that these beings are very able to escape due to their technological understandings before their incarnations here. These entities of the glowing eyes are the most familiar to your people. Question. Then there are two different types of Bigfoot, correct? Answer. I am Ra. This will be the final question. There are three types of Bigfoot. If you'll accept that vibratory sound complex used for three such different races of mind slash body slash spirit complexes. The first two we have described. The third is a thought form. The bold sentences might explain why the Sabe seem to have superpowers, and also why they often seem to be working through karmic imbalances, with how they often seem to want to instill deep fear into people, with exceptions like friendly encounters, most probable being the particular Sabe that are here as a species able to take more radiation exposure than our meat suits can. Of course, this is speculation, but it's more than anybody from our governments will tell us. Wow, that was a few mouthfuls there and a lot to think about, right, folks? I'm not the smoothest reader today, but I'm going to keep going this email. It's a long one. Next segment is my Sabe stories. Here are the two encounters that I think were Sabe related. There's another sighting of what I would best describe as the chupacabra, but it doesn't solidly fit the description. I grew up in Colorado during the 70s and 80s. I think it was 1978, when a little-known Channel 7 reporter named Linda Moulton Howe started her career in reporting on all the cattle mutilations going on there, of which are still going on today. Several stories I can share later if you'd like, but my potential Sabe events didn't happen until I moved to West Michigan in 1988. Not long after moving and meeting some local kids my age, I was told that the previous year a state trooper reported seeing a giant, hairy, man-like animal running down the freeway shoulder next to him, driving over 60 miles per hour. He reported that it was keeping up with his car until it darted off into the woods at full speed, never slowing down. I kind of laughed it off, thinking they were joking, only to see the serious looks on their face. It was no joke. I come from a family of hunters in Colorado, so I fit in the hunting scene as well. I believe I was 7 when I first learned how to shoot a gun. Around 1991, I was invited to one of my friend's hunting camps somewhere close to Baldwin, Michigan. After an unsuccessful early morning hunt, the guys wanted to do a drive through a couple of patches of woods that usually had deer, so I joined in. We lined up roughly 30 yards between each of us and started the drive. The forest was thick, with poplar and a few big oaks, so I couldn't see much further than 10 to 15 yards around me. After walking rather slowly for 10 or 15 minutes, I hear what sounds like footsteps pacing me that sound pretty close. Close enough that I should be able to see who it is. I crouch down and try to get a view, thinking I might see a deer or one of the other people driving, but nothing is there. I hesitate for a minute and start walking again, thinking maybe I'm hearing shit. Then again, I hear it and stop. This happens several more times, of which a few times I hear an extra step or two when I stop, so I know now something is there. I never saw a thing. Eventually I make it on the next two track, where my friends have been waiting for 10 to 15 minutes, apparently trying to figure out what the F was pacing me. It took me twice as long to walk through the chunk of woods than it did everyone else. And to be honest, all this time I was rather convinced it was most likely a deer or possibly a bear until I heard your emailer the other day talking about something happening to him around Baldwin, Michigan. Number 2. I think it was the next year's hunting season. I was out on a morning hunt near the Blue Lake Boy Scout camp. After walking in about an hour before sunrise and finding a nice clearing on the trail roughly 50 yards or so in diameter, I found a tree with a couple of good straight shots through the clearing from an odd branch hanging low, big enough for me to sit on and not be much more than a foot off the ground. After about an hour and a half, and the sun getting high enough, I could see all around me rather well. Then I hear a big crack and a thud behind me. I didn't think much of it because it sounded like the same as a falling tree. It sounded the same as a falling tree. As felling a tree. Sorry, you guys. I had done 100 times collecting firewood. A minute or so goes by and another crack. And at the same time, I hear a faint crackle of leaves, like something's moving through the forest rather far from me at this point. As it's getting louder, I'm thinking, here comes my dinner running down the trail right at me. However, it's moving pretty fast, so I get ready to do a doe call to slow it down and get my 30-30 up to my shoulder, ready to shoot. In a matter of seconds, it arrives, but it's not a deer. It's a massive gray wolf, running like something scared it into running for the next county. It never missed a stride and made it through the clearing in a second or two. The really weird thing is there are not supposed to be wolves in the lower peninsula of Michigan. To this day, they say there haven't been any since they were pushed out by the Europeans. And no, I didn't report this one. A friend of mine has wolves all over the upper peninsula, all over the place of Michigan. To this day, they say they haven't been any since they were pushed out by the Europeans. And no, I didn't report this one. The friends I did tell didn't believe me. Go figure. Okay, so now we know there are probably a few, but the question is, what scared this one? Something scared that wolf, and it surely wasn't me. After about an hour, and the woods seeming strangely quiet, I decided to call it and go check the prints of this thing. I managed to find one in the sand, and it was huge. Almost as big as my hand spread out, maybe 6 to 7 inches in diameter, and almost 2/3 of the length of my boot. That's how big wolves are. Anyway, I'm sure this is getting way too long. Keep up the great work, Steve. I've always had a very strong sense of empathy, able to sense others' feelings all my life, and as I see and hear you telling the stories of people still suffering, I can feel the weight being lifted from their hearts. You're doing a service few others could accomplish. Love and light, brother, Chad. P.S. If you're interested, there are other stories I could share. If not, no worries. Always up for it. Send them. Send me what you got. What do we got? Excuse me, is this for me or for everybody? A friend I have here in the Philippines is a retired Air Force officer, I forget his rank, who spent half his career in Quantico? Wantiso? I'm bugging you guys. Organizing documents and theories related to the JFK assassination, and the other half stationed in Alaska. He's one of the few friends I have who don't roll their eyes when I talk about remote viewing and ETs. He actually knew the names of top remote viewers in the field when we talked. I'll make it a point to ask him about any Sabe stories he might have. However, there is plenty, even if he has no Sabe encounters. Others involve synchronistic things like all my immediate family being born on holidays, having a near-death experience within a few weeks of birth due to an allergic reaction to a vaccine, amongst others. Like when in my early 20s, I was invited to join a secret society. Nothing very eventful because I didn't join, but within a few moves from that place, I lived at the time I lost the book they sent me. Sorry. Nothing very eventful because I didn't join, but within a few moves from that place I lived at the time, I lost the book they sent me. I saved it just in case I changed my mind, lol. It'd be great to find someone else who might have more information on those people. And if you'd like to hear these stories, shoot back an email. Which ones pique your interest? Because as much as I would like, I can't watch every post you make, so I just don't have the time right now. Take care, Chad. Chad, sounds like we could probably talk for a few weeks. Right, don't you think? You sound like an interesting dude. The Law of One and Raw. I've heard about that in the past, and no, I haven't read the book. I'm sure it's in book form, right? And it's got my curiosity big time. Doesn't it, you guys? Are you guys interested in hearing more about that? R.A. Raw? I am. I'm very interested in hearing more about that, without a doubt. Appreciate you, Chad. Hopefully we get to swap back and forth emails again, or one day soon. I mean, because I haven't emailed you yet. Email me back if you're watching this, please. This next email is titled Summer of 1995. Good morning, Steve. It's been 25 years now since my girlfriend, now wife, and I seen something. We never talked about it, but we were very shooken up that summer evening. I'll just do my best to describe what happened. Back in the early summer of 1995, I asked wifey if she wanted to take a drive up to Canyon Lake. Canyon Lake is east of Phoenix near the town Apache Junction and the Superstition Mountains. We spent the day doing some fishing and just sitting by the water and having a nice picnic. It was a really nice day. It started getting late, so we decided it was time for us to head home. It's just over an hour to get back to where we lived at the time, so we started heading back toward Phoenix. It got dark on us as we were driving home, and anybody that's been to Canyon Lake know it has switchbacks and it's a dirt road, or at least it used to be. So, as I was driving up the road, I was turning around a corner, and just in view of the headlights, something stood up from a crouched position and jumped down from a boulder and went behind some trees. Mind you, there isn't much of any landscape or big forest in this area. I would call it mid-desert landscape. Some juniper trees, boulders, cactus, but nothing major. Nothing major, but area does back to a national forest, but nothing you would consider forest. So, my mind did not process it, and my wife didn't say a word. I didn't say a word. We just sat in the car looking, and then whatever it was, it moved from the small trees to some large boulders. It was big. I would have to say it was at least 8 feet tall, and it moved like a person would on 2 legs, and it moved quickly, very quickly. That's when my wife started to scream like I've never heard her do again to this day. From it jumping down to the first boulder into the trees and moving 15 to 20 feet behind a larger boulder, I say I got at least 7 seconds of view of this thing. It looks like it has dark black, hairy arms that come down to its knees. At the time, we had a hatchback 2-door car. When my wife started to scream, I took off as fast as I could. The road is a bit rocky with some medium-sized rocks. I just wanted out of there. I broke the muffler clean off, but no way in hell I was going to stop. It's been 25 years since this happened, and we've not been back since. End o email. And there you go. And you entered the club of no return. Right? Lifetime membership instantly. You're in. You didn't ask for it, and there's no escape. And now you're here stuck with us. There you go. Interesting. Very interesting. Now, I can sense that I'm not reading too smoothly. I'm kind of tired. I hate saying I'm tired all the time, but I'm definitely wiped out. I'm done. So, I gotta go and get my boots off, go through some of my SD cards, maybe eat some dinner. We're having elk ribs again, rerun elk ribs that Sarah made last night. They're absolutely freaking delicious. Oh my god. And I got one more day with the excavator here. Tomorrow, another busy day. And then after that, I will be looking up some people on here to come on here and have a conversation with me. One-on-one for all you to hear. What else? I'm going to give you guys another quick note that I haven't mentioned for a while. Everybody says, what happened to Edgar? Where's Edgar, the scientist? Well, I got nothing to hide. A while back, I was willing to fly to Edgar. And I made contact with him again. Allegedly, he was in between his chemo for his cancer. I was talking to his son, I believe. And first asked if they'd be up to doing the Zoom thing and make a video. And he says, yeah, I think Dad would be up there for sure. I go, oh, okay, well, how about this? How about if I fly to you? I would do it in a second. I'll fly tomorrow if you want. I'll fly to wherever you guys are. I will fly to where you are now. What do you think about that one? And I don't think I got a reply since then. As soon as I said I want to come and fly to you, flatline. So there you go. To answer your questions, what happened to Edgar? What's going on with Edgar? As soon as I said I'm flying out there to come and meet you guys face to face, flatline. What's up with that? I don't know. You guys know what I know. Well, you don't know everything I know because I have a shit pile of information from Edgar and the scientist crew over there. I got lots. And I haven't shared it. I got lots of stuff they asked me not to share. And I have some phone numbers. And I tried to phone the phone numbers from here, but I'm on the internet here at the house, and apparently I can't phone Europe. This way I have to go to regular phone connection somewhere in town or something to make the phone call. So I will do it. I will do it. I'll phone all the numbers I got, and I'll see what the hell happened, what's going on. And if I don't get any straight answers, as far as I'm concerned, that's my green light to share every single word I acquired from them. So if you guys are listening, there you go. That's how the game's going down. All right? So there you go. Now, hope you enjoyed the videos I made. I might play some more here at the end. We'll see. I'm not sure. And what else? Before I forget, hopefully I remember to do this. Somebody sent me a photo. 2 photos in an email. Can I find them again? Can I just have some glasses on? Come on. Seriously? Losing my shit. I came across these, totally forgot about them. I downloaded them off of the email onto my phone, and there's no email. What that just said, this is kind of weird, isn't it? So check. Whoops. Check these out. So what's up with that? Having a clue. You guys are looking at all I'm looking at, and that's the whole email that came with it. So I don't know. What are we looking at with those photographs? I haven't a clue. Does it look odd? Very. Whoever sent those to me, if you got any backstory, email me back with it, all right? Tell us what up. Who took the photo? What happened? Any story with that? Because that's really weird. Anyway, there you go, you guys. I'm out of here. Hopefully I'll be back tomorrow. You got some truth you need shared big time to help you, help somebody, help us. Share my story at howtohunt.com. All right? Get it back to us, and I'll be back.